Hi, my name is Tamaya Jackson, and I am running for the Denver Public School Board of Education to represent District 4. I'm a DPS parent, a community educator, and a former executive director who's running for the Denver Public School Board to ensure that every student in our district has access to a high-quality education that's going to prepare them academically, socially, and emotionally for their future. I've been privileged to wear a variety of hats over my career, but the most important hat I wear is mom. I've been a dean of students, a re-engagement specialist for dropout intervention, and a director of student services. Oftentimes I hear too many of our students say they lack a sense of belonging to school. Our students are left wondering, what is the purpose? We need strong leadership who's going to work alongside the community to ensure that every student gets access to a high quality education, that we are collaborating and partnering with our schools, and that our teachers have the resources to show up each day to do this work. And really for me, it comes down to three things: achievement, ensuring that we're clear on what we want for our kids and delivering, that we're transparent on what's going well and what's not, and also accountability, that we take responsibility for what's working and what's not, and we celebrate what is. I am Tamaya Jackson, and I'm running for the Denver Public School Board of Education in District 4.
What are the top needs of the school district? How are Denver Public Schools doing educating kids across the city? What is going well? What is not going well?
When we look at what's going well for Denver Public Schools and how we are educating our students, we know that it's a story of progress, but also some need for progression. We currently know that we are seeing an increase in the amount of growth in our students as the district is celebrating its percentage from CMAT scores. In addition to that, we also have seen an increase in the amount of students graduating from the district, which means that more students are graduating on time. And if we start to look at the data closely, we'll see that for subpopulations of our students, our Black students, our Latino students, our students with IEPs, also known as individual education plans, there's too much of a discrepancy. The data shows that these students are not graduating prepared to go out into the workforce. And so as a school district, we need to address these barriers. We also need to engage our students in their learning at a young age, making sure that they find their passion and that they know that there's a variety of different pathways that they can go down. Last but not least, we have to be transparent about our data so that we can really be responsive to the needs of our students. That is rural equity. That is what the district needs to focus on, is ensuring that we are clear on outcomes and delivering for all students in our district.
The next question was submitted by a DPS student. In light of the recent Evergreen school shootings, how will you protect students from acts of gun violence? What measures, plans will you put in place?
My heart goes out to the Evergreen community. No parent should ever get a phone call about school violence and school safety. And so from a district perspective, it's really a lot of different things. We need to focus on ensuring that every student feels safe. That's physically, socially, and emotionally. That's the only way that our kids are going to be able to thrive. We do that by creating safety committees that are comprised of our stakeholders, our students, our parents, our teachers, DPS safety and security, where we're able to receive regular reports on how things are going as a board so that we can monitor and adjust in real time. In addition to that, we need to work with our advocates at the state level to advocate for funding. This will allow us to continue to be on the prevention side. We know that youth violence in our city is often on the rise between 2 and 6. And so having out of school time programs that support this work to ensure that our kids are feeling connected to their communities as well as their school is safe and important. And last but certainly not least, wanting to make sure that SROs are in buildings 6 through 12, making sure that those SROs are there to respond to incidents where there is weapons involved. However, we want to also have mental health supports on staff to do the work to support our kids in making sure that they are feeling belonging to their school environment.
Can you explain where the money to fund our schools comes from? And what changes, if any, are needed to ensure that the district has the money it needs to deliver quality educational opportunities to all students?
Our district receives funding really from three different buckets: our local, our state, and our federal taxes. Our local through our property tax, and then our state funding comes from PPR, also known as per pupil revenue. It is a flat dollar amount that we pay for each student. And then there's also some additional formulas that we can apply if students have special circumstances, such as free and reduced lunch, or if students are multilingual learners. And then last but not least, 10% of DPS's budget does come from the federal government. What we need to be looking at as a reform of Tabor, this will allow us to be able to be responsive and have the funding that we need should the federal government decide that they want to cut additional funding to our schools. At one point in time, Colorado was number 42 in terms of how it funded its schools. By looking at a Tabor repeal, we could potentially have our schools be really well funded and be responsive to anything that should happen in the future should we need it.
What K through 12 personal experience most impacts your views on education? And is it relevant today?
My K-12 experience really comes from a personal and professional lens. I have been privileged to wear a variety of different hats when it comes to education. I went to school where I majored in secondary education and English, so I understand pedagogy, basically what is needed to have well-rounded lesson plans and how to be responsive, how to create curriculum, how to engage students in learning. I'm a DPS parent. My student is currently in the district, and so I get to come at this work from a lens of what's happening day to day, boots on the ground with my student. Parent-teacher conferences and all of the things. And then also going back into my professional experience, I've been the dean of students. I've been a re-engagement specialist for dropout intervention. I've had the privilege of being able to work one-on-one with students and families to be able to understand what the needs of our students are, how they are doing, how they're showing up to this work, also re-engaging them in their learning so that if chronic absenteeism is something that our students are facing, we're able to create plans to support that. In addition, I believe this work is extremely critical because it gives me the direct service, but also understanding a systems level approach and being able to manage multi-million-dollar budgets through my work as an executive director and how to create strong policies that ensure that we meet outcomes for students. So my experience, both professionally and personally, is very relevant to the work of a school board director.
How do you see the role of charter and innovation schools in the DPS system? How should the board ensure that all schools, regardless of governance model, offer high quality and equitable opportunities?
Charters and innovation offer options for our families. We know that education is not a one-size-fits-all. We want to ensure that every student is getting access to a high-quality education that's going to prepare them academically, socially, and emotionally for the future that they wish to have. Regardless of the governance type, whether it's traditional, innovation, or charter, we have a responsibility as a board to make sure that our schools are meeting the needs of our students, that they are performing, and that we're offering supports and resources if things are not on track. We know that when we have strong schools, that our kids and our communities will thrive. The board is responsible for making sure that we have strong policies in place, fully funded schools, and that we are delivering on results for our kids.
Your website states, focus on policy that puts students first because our communities deserve collaboration that leads to real classroom impact. What type of policies will you make that truly put District 4 students first?
District 4 students are brilliant and they're bright. We have a wonderful community. I live in District 4, and as a board member, your board member, I will ensure that we have policies that are uplifting your needs and your voices, ensuring that we collaborate with community first and foremost before any decisions are being made, ensuring that we are specific around what the goals and the outcomes are for our students, wanting to make sure that we have metrics that allow the board to be able to progress monitor in real time. And when I say progress monitor, I mean monthly reports so that we can understand where we are going, what's working, and be more responsive if things are not. This will allow us to be really specific and transparent with you all, our constituents, about what's working and how your students are getting the education that they deserve. I also want to be able to be in community because we need to be able to hear from you all. I will champion policies that will increase the amount of touch points that board members have with the community so that we can hear from you all. And last but not least, wanted to also think about, can we move the time for the board meeting back so that more of your voices and more of you can be present and be in that space should you so desire? I'm Tamaya Jackson, and I would be honored to have your vote this November to serve as the DPS Board Representative for District 4. I'm a DPS parent, and I've had the privilege of spending my entire career supporting young people both in and out of the classrooms. I've had the privilege of being able to really be in collaboration with community to uplift the voices and the needs of our students, working collaboratively. It is truly going to take all of us working together to ensure that our kids are kept at the center of every decision and that every kid finds their passion and purpose in this work. We also have to come together because too many of our kids are lacking a sense of belonging. If you elect me to the board this November, I will ensure that not only will policies be made, but we will receive results, real results that will yield the outcomes that we wish to see, real results that work in collaboration with community. I'm Tamaya Jackson, and I'm running for Denver Public School Board, District 4.